Village of Corrales governing body. Please turn your phones off or set them to vibrate. And then once you've done that, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to point out that tonight we have a guest, Representative Kathleen Cates. However, she's not going to speak tonight, so. All right. So Councilor Woolman?
Here.
Councilor Burkett?
Here.
Councilor Murray?
Here.
Councilor Miera? Is he not here? Councilor Olson?
I am here.
Okay, good. Councilor Knight?
Here.
Okay, we're okay. We have a quorum. So what I need is a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved. Second.
And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Very good. Thank you. We have first on the agenda approval of appointments. First will be Rachel Hickox, appointment to the Bosque Advisory Commission. Ms. Hickox, that we just appointed you to something. Does anybody have any questions for her?
Oh, good.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I just want to, just one statement. I want to thank you for your thorough presentation that we saw on your application. It gave a real sense of the treasure that we have in the Bosque, but also the challenges that we're facing. So thank you for your thought that you put into that. It was really, really worthwhile. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a
Second.
second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Good, thank you. Next, we have a reappointment of Stevie Kunzler to the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I'll see Stevie here if anybody has any questions. Okay. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Chris McIntyre, reappointment to the Parks and Rec Commission. I have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay.
See here.
Chris McIntyre. No, I don't see her either.
He's
Okay.
not online.
Say again.
He's not online either.
I don't see her on there.
Yeah, I would appreciate a little bit more information after Councilor Waldman had thanked, Rachel for her thoughtful
You
application.
want to be able to thank Chris McIntyre for her application.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, a little bit more information would be nice, but anyway, it was minimal at that.
Right.
Well, I also had a question. She mentioned in her application, do something with Salsey Park, and I just wanted to elicit from her what her thoughts might be. But
Well,
not
she
here.
is on Parks and Rec, and you go to those meetings a lot.
I used to. She was on Parks and Rec when I was on it
Yeah.
years ago too. So she's got tons of institutional memory as far as all the suggested plans for Salsay Park.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
which is,
I also want to thank Melanie for putting on the application. That was really helpful, the reappointment
Yeah.
really. So
okay.
thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it. We'll move on to presentations, and this is the presentation by the UNM Museum of Southwest Biology Division of Arthropods. Start out with Dewey DeVivi, child of our own Sky DeVivi. You can stand and take credit for him. Or maybe you want to wait till he finishes. Dewey, it's good to see you here, and please.
Thank
have
you,
at it.
Mayor and fellow counselors. I'm Dewey DeVivi. I'm a museum technician and research assistant at the Museum of Southwestern Biology Division of Arthropods. I'm here joined by my colleagues and fellow personnel from the museum. We have Melanie Gonzalez, a research assistant and museum technician like me, David Lightfoot, our senior collection manager, and then Shannon Rowlands, also museum technician and research assistant.
Don't forget your grandmother.
Oh, and my grandmother, patron of our museum.
Okay,
So if I could please get the presentation on screen. Once again, thank you all for having us.
Oh,
If
thank
could
you
go
for
to-
volunteering.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you. Could you go to the next slide, please? So, all right. So today I'll be talking about insect biodiversity and conservation. And our museum is the division of arthropods. And arthropods are invertebrates with segmented body parts that includes arachnids, myriapods, insects, and crustaceans. Today, I'm primarily going to be talking about insects. Next slide, please. So here's some examples of non-insect arthropods: isopods, millipedes, centipedes, scorpions. You've probably seen some of them here in New Mexico. And next slide, please. And here's some example of New Mexico insects. New Mexico has a very high diversity of insects, and I'll talk about that a little bit more down the line. Slide, please. So insects, compared to the animal kingdom, are the highest diversity and highest abundance on the planet. So in that chart right there on the left side, all those areas in blue are vertebrates: mammals, fishes, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. And that accounts for most of what we know in terms of species for those vertebrates. Everything else in gray is invertebrates, including mollusks, arachnids, and insects. Insects by far represent the large majority, again, of abundance and diversity. That figure right there, 1.05 million species described, is actually an older figure. Right now, it's between 1.7 million and 2.1 million, with right now we're thinking possibly 2 or 4 million more insect species that have not yet been described. Importantly to note is that if you look at the right figure, butterflies and moths represent currently 150,000 species, which is more in total, more than the sum total of all vertebrate species that have been described. So insects are the majority contender here on the planet. Next slide, please. So here in the Southwest, we actually have the highest diversity of insect species in the United States. That's due in large part to us being in a desert and arid environment where we have many different types of habitats where different species of insects would fill the niches of those given habitats. Right now, based on that chart right there on the left, we're thinking that's going to be where the highest species richness for butterflies are. And as you can see, we're right there in the center of it. But we also have possibly, and we're still working out this figure, but it's looking like bees are also going to be the most diverse and most species rich of the world here in New Mexico. So in New Mexico, we possibly have the highest diversity of bees on the planet. Next slide, please. So if you haven't already heard, we're living through the sixth mass extinction of the life history of life on this planet. It is mostly human caused due to a variety of factors. For insects, the popular term is death by 1,000 cuts. And what this means is that different environmental factors are not by themselves, but coming together as one to lead to cumulative decline and damage for insect populations. These include, but are not limited to, increased wildfires, increased climate change driven drought, increased storms, non-native species outcompeting native species in their given habitats, pesticide spraying, and many other unlisted factors. On this figure on the right, we have different regions of the United States and how their insects or how their butterflies are decreasing or increasing as time goes on. And that figure right there, SW, Southwest, that's us. We have the highest decline of butterflies in the United States with the least amount of possible increase for any butterfly species. In the figure on the very right is the time and rate by which that decline for butterflies is happening. If you look at the Southwest, which is that light blue, it is faster than any other region. In fact, in the last 20 years, over doing thousands of surveys and studies, we found that butterflies in the Southwest have decreased by 54% in the last 20 years. And that's just with the butterflies that we know now. And the true concern right now is not only the butterflies that we have lost and the ecological damage that might result, but also how many more butterflies we will lose in the future. Next slide, please. So arthropods and insects account for a huge variety of ecosystem roles that are vital to the health and well-being of any given environment. You have plants that are consumed by herbivorous insects, which help maintain those plant populations. You have natural predators where arthropods will be predaceous on other arthropods, thereby controlling the population. You have certain kinds of detritivore beetles, which might decompose dead insect tissue, which would otherwise just remain without giving any help to the soil. But today we're primarily going to talk about pollinators and how important they are. Next slide, please. So if you don't know what pollination is, very basically, 80 to 90% of all wildflowers their reproduction is done by pollination. pollination is when any kind of pollinating insect or bird flies or goes near a flower trying to get its nectar or some other beneficial output that the flower might be accidentally giving it. The bee, for example, will collect the pollen, which is a pocket of genetic material, and then it will bring it to a flower of the opposite sex and deposit that material just by rubbing against it. Thereby, the reproduction of that flower is done. If we did not have pollinators doing this, we would lose 80 to 90% of our wildflowers, thereby leading to a possible environmental catastrophe. Pictured on the right, I have other examples of insects that are pollinators too. Beetles and flies are very much pollinator powerhouses, even alongside butterflies and bees. Next slide, please. So in terms of accounting for insects and their role and knowing their importance and diversity, they're still dramatically understudied. In the figure on the left, we have different animals and how they are represented by occurrences. Occurrences are when we basically find an animal, we observe it, and we make a record of that observance, an occurrence. And as you can see, an example like birds and reptiles have an excess of occurrences. Like we have more data than we need to account for them. But if you look at the very bottom, insects have a shortfall of occurrences by millions. This is very bad because if we do not know and are not monitoring insects and how they are doing and how our environment is doing as a result, we might miss out on huge consequences and catastrophes we could have prevented. Next slide, please. So in the process of doing that, we are looking at different insects and their conservation ranks and vulnerabilities. I'll go into a bit more specifically later how those ranks are done. Right here on this figure, everything in gray are animals that have not been accounted for and given a conservation rank by the IUCN Red List. IUCN Red List are conservation ranks, and I'll go a little bit more into that later. Currently, of the many insects that we can make a rank for, only 21,886 have been made, and we still have over 1 million to do. Next slide, please. So in that slide I just showed, we only have 2 protected insects in New Mexico. These are the only 2 protected insects in New Mexico. The first is the Sacramento Mountains checker spot butterfly. It is, we have not found any adults in the wild for a while, and it used to be abundant. And then the second protected insect is the Nokomis silver spot. Next slide, please. So how are we managing this? How are we making sure that we know what arthropods in New Mexico and insects in New Mexico are rare and what their rank is? We actually have a website right now that we've been working on and are constantly updating called NMRare. You can actually just type in NMRare in Google and find the website very easily. On it, you'll find a list of different insect taxa and arthropod taxa that we have found to be of conservation risk, but there's still many more to do. Next slide, please. So on that NMRare list, and as I had talked about before, we use the IUCN Red List, which is the UN conservation sector, to determine what of conservation risk any given animal is. Here's a very basic just hierarchy of ranks within that. We go all the way from extinct to endangered to near threatened, least concern, and data deficient. Next slide, please. So these Red List results right here are from our 2024 list. So far, we have about 127, and that represents insects of New Mexico that we've done. As you can see by the figure, we have a 38% insect taxa of the ones that we looked at being endangered. And although this looks very scary, just know that this is somewhat biased because we were looking for insects that were of conservation risk anyway. That being said, this number is still very, very low in comparison to all the insect species that we need to be looking at in New Mexico. Next slide, please. So of the results in total for all arthropods on our 2024 list for NMRare, this is everything that we had so far. This number should be much higher because we've been updating it as the year has been going on. Next slide, please. But here's an example of one of those threatened insects that you actually have in your own backyard, the Morrison's bumblebee. Next slide, please. We also have the American bumblebee, which is also on that list. You can find this in your backyard as well. If you notice, the ranking that we have on it right now is vulnerable. But if you also look to the right, when that was assessed, that was in 2014. As I previously stated with the butterfly example of there being a decline of 54% in 20 years, this is an over 10-year missing assessment that we do not have. From that time, there could be any number of populations left, and we don't know yet. This is, again, the vital importance of being able to have the ability to monitor insects consistently. Next slide, please. Here's another bumblebee that you'll see in your own backyard here in Corrales. Also last assessed in 2014, currently ranked as vulnerable, but there's a possibility that rank could have gone higher or lower. We just don't know. Next slide, please. Here's the monarch. I'm sure everyone knows this butterfly. Next slide. And finally, this West Coast lady is the butterfly I would like to drive our attention to a bit more. It was last assessed in 2020 and given a rank of least concern. Yes, this is a butterfly that you can find here in Corrales. Next slide, please. But the next ranking that we're giving it within the year is going to be endangered. It has been found in papers published both in 2021 and 2025 that there was an estimated 50% decline over the last 10 years of this butterfly. On the chart on the right, we have a map of, I think, a little over 100 survey stations in the Western United States that were monitoring the butterfly. There was consistent decline amongst all of them. Currently, we're thinking that this is possibly the most endangered butterfly in the Western United States. Next slide, please. So back to NM Rare, that butterfly and many other insects you can find on this website. The importance of this website is this gives us a direct catalog by which you can not only have a species description, but also know its distribution, its habitat and ecology, life history, the threats that can be leading it towards its decline, how its populations are doing, and of course, its conservation rank. Next slide. And one way this can be used is actually in direct action for protecting wildlife. So the New Mexico Game and Fish has just changed to New Mexico Wildlife. And before they were not including insects as wildlife, but just recently as this year, insects are now part of their wildlife plan. Every 10 years, they revise a plan for how they're going to spend money to protect wildlife. Insects have now been added to that. And it's looking like 94 insect pollinators will be added in the action plan for 2026. This is one of the importance of NM Rare is that website can then help inform what insects or what other arthropod taxa would go on a list for protection. Next slide, please. All right, so what can you as an individual do? Well, one small but very beneficial thing you can do is plant native plants in your yard. You can advocate in favor of conservation in your community and any resolutions towards that end. Also, citizen science is really important. If you take photos and post them to websites like iNaturalist, we actually use that data to help track distributions. It's actually really, really important and very easy. All you have to do is take a photo of an insect and show its location, and that's it. It makes a big difference, even if it's just one insect you take a photo of. We also recommend volunteering for wildlife conservation groups. One of them is the ABQ Bioparks Butterfly Monitoring Network. Next slide. And that'll be it. I would like to open the floor now for questions, and I'm going to have the rest of my team answer them as they come up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who wants to be first? That.
Thank you. Appreciate the presentation. I have two questions. Within the past couple months, we had a presentation about mosquitoes. And obviously everybody or mostly everybody looks at those as problematic. The current way we're treating them is, I think, a bacteria, if I remember correctly. I wanted to get your guys' input on, we were told that's safe for pollinators, if that's in agreement with your guys' interpretation of that science. And then I guess regardless of whatever the answer is to that, what do you suggest we do to manage what are commonly described as nuisance bugs without harming pollinators specifically?
You know, what is a nuisance a bug may be in the eye of the beholder.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you don't have, you can address this about anything.
If you'll come up to
Please
the
come.
podium so we can hear you on Zoom.
Yes, please.
Okay, well, that is an important question, and it's a difficult question to answer because yes, there certainly are insects that are pests that affect people in adverse ways. And it is important to keep those particular types of insects under control so they don't cause harm. What it comes down to is it's kind of similar to, say, you have a crop of a particular plant and you have weeds that are competing with that crop. How do you control the weeds without damaging the crop? And so it's really something we have to look at on a case-by-case basis, addressing what is the pest, what is its impact, and what are its interactions with other species. So for something like mosquitoes in a dense urban area, there are ways that they can be naturally controlled. It tends to be expensive. mainly treating the larvae in the water before they become adults and fly. And using light oils, for example, prevents them from breathing. They have to come to the surface to breathe. And that will cause high mortality in the larvae, and therefore there will not be adults that will come and bite people. That tends to be more expensive than spraying aerial pesticides. And there are a variety of different pesticides that can be used. Some are more targeted than others. It's really coming down to a cost benefit analysis and trade-off of a pest and its actions on the community versus what treatments will do to other non-target species that may be important to the community. And with the situation on insects, we still don't know that much about all of our beneficial insects. The history of entomology is really focused on those insects that are pests because those are what are directly affecting us. And to a large extent, we know very little about many of, in fact, most of our native species. So another thing to consider too is that insects like mosquitoes, although they're pests to humans, they do have an important role in ecosystems and natural ecosystems. The larvae are herbivores. They feed on algae. They're a very important food source for fish and other aquatic animals. The adults, because of the fact that they transmit diseases, actually have an important regulatory role in animal populations. Animal populations, and I mean various birds, rodents, whatever, are largely controlled by pathogens and insects that transmit those pathogens. So by removing, say, an insect that transmits disease like mosquito, you're removing an important species that controls other species in the system that we may not be particularly aware of, but nonetheless, that is happening. So I think the best thing is to focus on where the problem is geographically and in time, and determine, for example, what type of habitat the mosquito larvae are using. In this case, acequias, generally slow water places. Those can be managed for using oils on the water surfaces, keeping stagnant water from accumulating and keep water moving. We've essentially created an environment where there are a lot of open water areas. So there's breeding areas for mosquitoes, and there are natural controls for mosquitoes too. Dragonflies are very important. Birds eat a lot of mosquitoes. So I think, again, you have to look at each situation very carefully. There's not one solution for all. And even with mosquito outbreaks, they may be in one particular area here in the valley, but not in other areas. So you don't need to spray the whole valley. Really learn more about what the problem is. And that way you can come up with more targeted solutions.
Thank you.
I do want to say, though, that broadcast aerial pesticides are very hard on bees in particular. Not just honeybees, but all native bees. Bees' nervous systems are particularly prone to nerve blocking pesticides more so than other insects. So if you're spraying for mosquitoes, that spray is going to be particularly harmful to bees, even more so than mosquitoes. Very small amounts can be lethal to many bees.
Okay. If I remember correctly, we're using a bacteria, correct? Is what the company said. I wish I knew specifically what it was, but they assured us that there's no impact on other pollinators. But
yeah, there are bacteria that are used for a wide variety of insects. They tend to be host specific to target insects. That's a very good way to go.
okay.
Yeah. Using biocontrol versus chemical control generally is better.
Thank you.
Councilor Murray?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Dewey. I wish I'd had you back in my biology class back in high school because I could have used some help. But so my question is, given the collapse of the bee population, which has had a bigger effect on it, our drought for the last 20 years, or is it spraying?
Hi, I've been working with the Sevietta long-term ecological research on the bee monitoring program, and it's not an easy answer on that. I'm currently doing research on what kind of different climate variables are affecting certain bees. And we're showing that drought can, have issues with them, but also different variables, like having higher temperatures, different the precipitation. And so I would say with information we have, it would be a little bit of both, because of course some places aren't really using so much of the pesticides and some places are. But being in Corrales, since a lot of people are using pesticides, I would say that the drought is not impacting here quite as quickly, being in a riparian area as we are here. And the pesticides are probably going to be affecting them quicker for sure than the drought is.
Okay, so also invasive species have kind of become more prevalent around I don't know if they've come up this area, but the Africanized bees, are they moving into this area, or have they stabilized along a certain climate area?
Yeah. I haven't heard of any Africanized bees here, but it's interesting how you mentioned invasive species. Actually, the honeybees are considered also an invasive species too. They were not from here. They came from Europe. And at this point, they're definitely here and we are managing them. But those are everywhere, and there is a lot of study and research on how they're affecting our native bee population, which we actually have approximately at least 1,000 different native bee species here in New Mexico, and probably counting. There's still many that we haven't described.
So let me ask you this then, how quickly does a insect population, I guess after a wildfire, how quick does an insect population bounce back after there's been a catastrophic fire?
It's hard to say because there's different types of bees. Some bees, they actually nest in the ground. So if that wildfire went over where their nesting area is, that's going to probably kill those young that's in the ground. And then we have different bees that actually nest, and they're called like leafcutter bees, and they nest in like holes and trees and different areas. So it just really depends on the bees. It could possibly devastate them. It's one that's not an easy answer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
You're
Mayor.
Yes, Bill.
Yes, quickly, how many centers of excellence are there like this across the country? Does anybody know? You're based at UNM, but are there others at universities or independent like this? How many centers like what you're doing are there in the country? And I guess the follow-up is, are you called upon for people across the country, for your research?
Yeah, so many, particularly state land grant universities across the country have entomology departments, and they're a very important part of their agricultural programs. Most of those entomology departments, though, are focused on pest control and particularly agricultural, medical pest control. Labs like ours that are focused more on native species and how those species are living in our native environments are less common. Colorado State has a lab that does work. They're in fact doing a survey of the native insects of Colorado over the next 5 years with state funding, just to learn what insects are in the state of Colorado. So that's very important, and they're particularly looking to see if there are threats to the insects in Colorado. The state of Utah has a program similar to ours where they're trying to identify and to come up with solutions on reducing threats to their native insects. They're particularly focusing on butterflies and bees. And the state of Texas is, they have a wild bee survey program. They're focusing on bumblebees right now. In fact, one of their representatives was out here visiting last week. She was taking DNA samples from a number of our specimens. And they're concerned what's happening with bees across Texas. Bumblebees are large, they're fairly easy to detect and identify, so they make good candidates for surveying and monitoring to better understand what's going on with other bees as well. The states of Nevada and Oregon are working on rare insect conservation programs. And there are several NGOs, that is non-governmental organizations. The Xerces Society, based out of Portland, Oregon, is they've not launched a nationwide effort to essentially inform people about what's happening with pollinators, particularly bees and butterflies. They have a whole variety of documents that you can get from them online on how to conserve pollinators, how to grow pollinator-friendly gardens and farms. And in Europe, there are a number of efforts similar to this too. What's been happening is, as Dewey mentioned, we're now recognizing that insects are declining globally, including those that are beneficial to us, such as pollinators. So there is more and more interest now. The state of New Mexico is working on a state pollinator protection plan. This is coming from legislation from Washington, D.C. for the nation on pollinator protection. Many other states also are starting to develop pollinator protection plans. In our lab, we are writing a document right now on the current status of pollinators in New Mexico. That includes hummingbirds as well. And the information that we're providing to the pollinator protection plan writing group will be used to help draft a plan for the entire state on monitoring the status of our pollinators, and then on various ways to protect pollinators. And it will be by region of the state, because we have different species, different land uses and so on in different parts of the state. So we're targeting the different parts of the state to make it more appropriate for local use.
Thank you.
Mr. Stewart.
So one more question. Are insects altitude dependent? I mean, do you find them more at the lower altitudes? You were pointing out, especially in the Southwest, where we have hotter climates and drier climates. Do you find less insects at the higher you go in the mountains?
Yeah, very short answers. So insects are very altitude dependent. In fact, most insects are specialists. If I had that right, most insects are specialists. So any given habitat conditions are what they rely on almost exactly. Changes to that environment can impact them so severely that they might not be able to exist in that environment. In terms of altitude, we actually have a high diversity of insects at many different altitudes, both high and low in New Mexico. Tends to be that if you have habitable conditions, you will have an abundance of life on Earth, insects included. We are finding, though, that as temperature records increase every year and alpine environments become wetter, that the butterflies that we're noticing in particular are really suffering. And right now we think that the Sky Island butterflies that are mainly confined and constrained to high altitude areas in New Mexico, and not really this, you won't find that same species in a lowland area, are particularly affected. In fact, Most of our butterflies of conservation concern that are at the highest rank seem to be Sky Island butterflies.
So do they migrate? I mean, kind of like the bats
Monarch-
do?
So not all butterflies migrate. It really depends on the species. The monarch, the North American monarch does, and that one's also in decline. I think within the last year, I'm not a butterfly expert, so forgive me if I have this not totally right, but we found that in the last year, there was only a population accounted for of 9,000 monarchs in the United States, which is very, very low. I think it was a little over 20 or 30 years ago that was over tens of thousands.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Dewey.
Counselor Alsobrook has a question.
Oh, Councilor Alsobrook, fire away.
Thank you, Mayor. Just curious, if you have any outreach to primary schools, secondary schools, just because it seems the earlier we could get kids curious about these little critters, and the less likely they'd be just to squish them and not care about them, that it would be beneficial 10 to 15 years from now. So just curious if you do that.
Thank you for the question. At present time, the only one I know about that kind of helps specifically do outreach to the younger is called the BEMP program. And they're from kindergarten up to 12th grade. And part of that is being able to expose these children, not only to the bosque and the different wildlife that live there, but they also talk about insects there. One thing with the Sevietta LTR that I work with, we do try to make our outreach, because for example, we're going to be doing an outreach at Whitfield Conservation Center in Belen on October 4th. When we bring that out, we really try to focus it towards families and to be able also to children. So we'll have the coloring books. It's not like real technical, so they can get interested in it. We have little games that they can understand how bees work a little bit better. I think that would be something we'd all be very interested in incorporating into our outreach, though.
That's great. Thank you.
Anyone else? So what do you recommend for squash bugs? Oh, you're no help. No, you squash them. Yeah. Jeez. Hey, thank you very much, Dewey, and the rest of your group. This is very, very informative.
Thank you.
And yeah. Now we have a proclamation, and I believe that Dewey DeVivi is going to read that proclamation.
Do we need to get a motion to
Oh, I
approve
need to get
before
a
he
motion to
reads it?
approve the proclamation.
So moved.
In a second?
Second?
Okay, he's going to read it and then we'll vote. Is that okay? All right. Go ahead, Dewey.
Thank you. In support of pollinators and agriculture in the village of Krallis, whereas pollinator species including birds and insect pollinators such as bees, butterflies, wasps, and other beneficial arthropods are vital partners of Krallis farmers in producing an important local food supply, and whereas the process of pollination is essential not only for agricultural success, but also for the overall health of Krallis ecosystems, and whereas pollinators contribute to the environmental health necessary for maintaining robust and biodiverse ecosystems in New Mexico, and whereas the village of Krallis supports local residents who provide protection and maintenance of pollinators and their habitats on their property. I don't know if I read this part.
Sure, read it.
Now, therefore, I, James F. Fahey, Jr., Mayor of the Village of Krallis, Sandoval County, State of New Mexico, will preserve and support the preservation of local pollinators in the agricultural community and through community education, enhancing economic development for local growers, and preserving open space in the village to provide habitats for local pollinators.
Thank you. You don't need to read the last one.
Okay.
Go ahead and pass it.
Do I need to give this to you?
Do what?
Right, this-
Well, you can actually keep it if you want. So any further questions, any comments? On the computer, on the internet, I mean? Mel, did you have something you wanted to say?
Just, it was a great presentation. I appreciated everyone who spoke, and Dewey, you did a great job.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? So the proclamation is passed, and thank you guys very much for coming and doing this. We always want to learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Now we'll move on to the administrator's report. Mr. Curry.
Thank you, Mayor. First up is Tanya.
Thank you, Mayor, Council Administrator Curry. I don't know if I want to follow that because yes, I'm going to talk about bugs and disease. But I'm going to start before that kind of ties into what they're saying. And yes, Chief, I'll keep it quick.
Disabled me.
There are some illnesses called Nipah and Hendra viruses that bats carry. And Australia has had a big outbreak of Hendra virus. And us not caring about our ecosystem, like they were talking about, if we kill off insects, it travels. Well, people were getting infected with Hendra virus because their horses were getting infected. Hendra virus is carried in Australia by the fox bat, which is a fruit bat, but they were clearing land to make houses because we need housing, but they were not replacing native things they eat in other areas. So they were coming into houses, which was infecting horses, which was infecting people. So some of the things we can look at as we change is if you're going to clear land, you need to make sure there's places for the animals that we're eating and the insects we're eating there to survive somewhere else. So we do not get some of these diseases carried by animals that we're not supposed to get, but they have for certain reasons to control population and other things. So we all have to do something to help preserve our community. On that, I am going to tell you that we went from 1 case of West Nile virus in New Mexico on August 7th to 22 cases on September 16th. 19 of those were neuroinvasive. Only 1% of West Nile cases become neuroinvasive. I did not do the math. I'm sure someone on the council could probably do the math and figure out how many cases there were actually probably out there. 3 of those cases were not neuroinvasive, but they did get picked up either by not feeling good or by blood. There were blood donators also. So 2 measles, we have not increased. We're still at 100 cases. No increase in that. For New Mexico's COVID-19, we've been pretty steady. We had 33 hospital admits from 8/14 to 8/22. That's the last time they updated. 481 cases were lab tested and confirmed for 23 per 100,000. We have an 8.8% statewide positivity rate. Hospitalizations are still highest for people over 75. From 1/7 to 9/7, though, the diagnosis discharge and hospitalization, the highest group was under 5. It was 2.08% of hospital diagnoses of COVID were kids under 5, then 5 to 17, 1.4%, 18 to 44 was 1.27, 65 and over, you guys have only had 0.96%, and 45 to 64 only had 0.91%. In the United States, COVID is still falling, which is good. We've dropped almost a whole percent for cases in the United States. ED visits have fallen 0.4% from 1.2 to 1.6. Hospitalizations dropped from 2.5% of all hospitalizations to 1.5. Death rate is holding steady at 8%, at 0.8% of all deaths. So flu is still low, but Quay County and Lee County have 4.2% of diagnosis discharge for influenza-like illness was not COVID. So flu could be RSV. It was not tested for, but they did have influenza-like illness. So it is definitely by October 15th, I would have my flu shot and COVID vaccine. When you could look at that based on when you've had COVID and when your last shot was and what you're planning for the holidays also. And I'll stand for any questions.
So you think October 15th is a good day to point to?
I worry if we get too far past that and then a bunch of us commingle for the big holiday called Halloween. And that gives you,
Think out
well,
there,
yeah.
out there in the park?
Well, no, but other places, but that gives you 14 days to build some immunity. I mean, it could still be really low, but I hate to tell people to go much past that.
Okay. Any questions of Tanya?
I think Halloween masks, they protect us from transmission, don't they?
Sure, we'll go with that.
She-
Thank you all.
Thank you, Tanya.
Some brief on the Harvest Fest coming up. Sky has reported out at this point, we have 114 vendors that ranges from food to arts, crafts, what have you. And they've all paid their business permit fee. So it'll be a robust group of folks there. So as you all know, we had a drop in the interest rates. And just a quick comparison, the LGIP at this point, the local government investment pool, as of today has $4,097,924 in it. Interesting part there is that last August, the year ago, the rate was at 5.31%, and the August rate this year is 4.35%. So it's coming down as you would expect, but we have benefited greatly because of it, and trying to hold the corpus steady at it so that we can maximize the interest that we gain. The last thing I have, I just wanted to make this statement. As you know, the village administration has been working with a team of experts to assist with the purchase of water rights for the village. This process has required an exhaustive inventory of the village's current wells, water rights, and water usage to ensure the information on file with the Office of the State Engineer is up to date. The team will then begin preparing all the paperwork necessary to complete the transfer of the water rights we are looking to purchase. For that transfer, the state engineer requires a 40-year water plan that shows the village is currently using its water rights and what its anticipated future needs will be. The plan is intended to benefit all Corraleños, including farming and other uses that make the village unique while faced with the continuing drought and related challenges in water availability. We will have a closed executive session at the next meeting on October 14th, 2025, with the members of the council and the water team together to answer specific questions from the council about the work that they are doing on behalf of the village.
Okay, you through? Any questions? Online, anybody have a question? Okay. So now we'll move on to Corraleños Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate, to inform the governing body of an issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. There will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker.
Up first is Joan Hashimoto. Joan, if you'll come and state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Joan Hashimoto, 485 East La Entrada. I'm the chair of the Bosque Advisory Commission, and this is about the wood removal on September 13th at Villa Oreada. I would like to thank Chief Martinez for operating the tractor with the grapple, and Steve and Jared with Public Works for making 2 trips to the landfill for a total of 9,840 pounds of wood to be processed into wood chips, and our party volunteers that were there that morning. That's it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And up next is Sabine Schurter. Sabine, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors, administrator. It is my understanding that over 50% of gross receipt tax revenues in Corrales come from home occupation businesses. Many are consultants, legal professionals, software specialists, etc. They're quiet, they do not cause light pollution or traffic commotion. I own one of these businesses, and I've had problems as a business thanks to a very noisy other business neighbor who feels obviously protected enough to continue his conduct of disturbing the neighborhood. Some businesses causing noise and light pollution, parking issues, more traffic in Corrales are being protected, it appears at least like that, by administrative measures and selective interpretation and enforcement of Corrales laws. Meanwhile, neighboring small home businesses and residents have been ignored, and they're suffering from this. And this has been very disappointing to me and others. And I'm really hoping, desperately hoping for some change at some point. Thank you for your attention. Have a good evening.
That's everyone, Mayor. That's it.
Oh, sorry. Had a brain fart.
Usually we have more people speaking, so.
Yeah. Now we move on to Councilors Forum.
Melanie?
Sorry, someone say something? This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate, to inform the governing body of an issue or a concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. A council member may respond to an issue or a concern brought up by a resident in the preceding Corrales forum, but to remain in compliance with the Open Meetings Act, the subject will not be up for debate or discussion. Who would like to start? I see a hand up. Councilor Knight?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, thank you. I was going to ask Lori how things are going with that clean and lean.
Thank you, Counselor. Actually, I talked to Corey, one of our attorneys, this afternoon, and I know things are in progress. One of the big issues that they're working out is we're probably going to need assistance from other law enforcement agencies in order to do this. So they're working out those details. That's my understanding from my conversation with her today.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
But it's in the process. The wheels are continuing to turn, right?
Absolutely. And believe me, I will be reminding them of that, but I know they're on it. I know they're doing what they need to do.
All righty, thank you for the update.
Melanie? Melanie?
That Counselor,
Mira.
who's speaking?
Councilor Mira.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know, I was here and joined you a little bit late, so, but I just want to make sure you're here because the video isn't coming through for some reason.
Oh, yeah, we're here and we're on video here.
Okay, gotcha. And did you catch my vote?
Yes.
Yeah, we heard you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So I noticed tonight when I was driving in that, like I say, we've had some rain, weeds are sprouting up, but the DOT needs to get in and mow some of the right of way because there are some visual issues coming off these side roads, especially with weeds cropping up. You can't see vehicles coming down the road very well. So hopefully you'll, put the bug in DOT's ear and let them come whack the weeds for us.
Can you put a bug in the DOT's ear? No, we've actually started a conversation with DOT, and we have suggested that perhaps we can partner. And if they can't get around to it, maybe, we can do some of this and share the cost, share the expense. They do a lot of the permitting. I mean, this is just something we talked about. They of course didn't make any commitment, but we would like to get something in writing committing us to some kind of a program or a partnership, vegetation management. We've also talked to P&M about that too.
Well, maybe we can also work on the right-of-way entrances off some of these roads because.
Absolutely. That's been discussed also.
Okay.
In fact, Mike Hammond is here and you can you could talk a little bit about the letter regarding traffic on the north part of the village, if you want to. I mean, you don't have to, but it's just, not right now, but when you come up.
The person who's in charge of maintenance on DOT is actually coming out this week to do a sweep of signs that are in the right of way. So they'll probably see all of the
Well,
the
there's
other stuff as
one
well.
intersection down towards the Mercantile that needs to be really touched up
Yep.
because the people are having difficulty getting onto the road.
I noticed that this morning.
There are also signs that are blocked by branches where we can't see speed limit signs and stuff too that need
Yeah.
to be cleared up.
But we do have a contact we can reach out to about that.
Councilor Woolman?
Just a reminder that a community meeting is being held on October 4th in the library, to discuss the rehabbing of Saucy Park at 11 o'clock. And I encourage everybody throughout the community to attend, not just the section where it is off of Sagebrush, but anyone who has ideas to be able to create a second park for the village, 11 o'clock, October 4th in the library. Same day as the book fair. So you have an opportunity to buy some books as well. So thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Mayor, did you want to mention the meeting Thursday night?
Oh,
Here or in announcements?
Well, I was going to mention it at the end, but I
Okay.
can mention it now. So you guys have all received information regarding the meeting on Thursday, special meeting, 6 p.m. This was actually requested by the Pueblo to come here in an open meeting to sign this agreement between MRGCD and the Pueblo. And so I think some of the county commissioners will be here. Hopefully you guys will be here. And who else? Somebody, even MRGCD people may come. We don't know the exact count yet. We're
I
still,
think they are coming, Mr. Mayor.
sorry, what?
I think they are coming, Mr. Mayor. I know I won't be able to be there, but I had a long talk with Colin and he's going to be representing MRGCDC. So they're going to be there Thursday night with the statement.
Good.
I think we have 5 that are confirmed from MRGCD
Okay,
and
'cause I
I
only
believe
knew
4
Jason.
from the Sandia Pueblo.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
only knew that Jason was coming.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
Representative Cates will also be there Thursday night and a representative
representative from
from
Indianapolis.
Senator Nava's office.
Okay. Now you won't be able to sit up there. You'll have to sit down here. We're going to let them sit up there and face the audience. And
Bummer.
Yeah.
I know you like,
Can I take my chair
you
down
look-
there?
no, you
Just-
can't have,
Just be careful because you can't wear your shorts, you're not being hidden behind anything.
you will be exposed. That's for sure. Okay, consent agenda, approval of minutes and approval of resolution 2539 of bar. You have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Yes, sir.
Mayor, I move that we pull the bar off of the consent agenda.
You don't have to make a motion. We'll pull it off.
Well, I think we got into trouble with that a
You
little
think we do?
couple minutes ago.
Okay, you've made a motion to pull the bar off. Do I have a second?
I'll second
And a
that.
second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. All right, you have your questions about the bar?
We don't have a motion to approve the consent agenda yet. Do we need
Can
that?
come later? I mean, after this?
So
Well,
We should address the consent agenda first and then we can address.
motion on the floor.
So technically we were supposed to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, then you make a motion to amend the consent agenda by pulling the item off.
okay.
Well,
would
since
be
we've already
proper
got a motion on the floor. Go ahead.
Well, I was curious about the first item on the consent agenda. I mean, on the bar about the $209, I think it is,
I think it's 210, isn't it?
or somewhere in there, but is this leftover from Meadowlark? I mean, is it,
That's my understanding.
and what's going to happen to the money then? I mean, it's not that I'm worried about $200, but where's it going to go?
It's going to be used for, oh, here we go. Jolene, you want to tell him?
Good evening, Councilman, Mayor, Administrator Curry. So that $209 is going to go to Steve to buy block.
Block,
Yes.
like in concrete block?
I'm not sure what kind of block.
Sunscreen.
It'll- So there's some areas that need support along Meadowlark.
Okay,
And so that's what they're going to use it for.
okay. It was just a small amount though. I just wondered why, where it was gonna go, is it gonna disappear in the ether or something?
No,
Okay.
it won't happen. Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question about that corner at Meadowlark and Loma Larga? That fence that's there, is that permanent? Is that all we're going to get? It just seems a bit flimsy. You're trying to prevent people from going. Thank you, Steve.
Councilors, Mayor. No, that's the way it was. That's the way it was designed. And it's just because there's a little bit that's more than 4 foot and to keep bicyclists and people from falling into it. So just where it comes out, where it steps up is where the fence stops.
It just doesn't seem to be real secure there.
That's the way it was drawn up. I don't know if it's meant to break away if it gets hit too hard but that's the size posts it called out, the spacing and the uprights just on the corners and the wire. That's what it called for. So.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Steve, 1 second. I have a question or comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, thank you. And Steve and I talked about, I had gotten a call from a constituent about continuing the bike path and across Loma Larga. And Steve, do you want to review that with everyone so everybody knows about that?
To connect lower Meadowlark and upper Meadowlark?
Yes.
Yeah, it's in the process of getting designed. So they'll have to design a crosswalk and they'll have to do I think a study of some sort and then get the design. And they're also going to try and include the mailboxes as well in that design.
And you said it was going to be a continuation because at this point, there's about a 30-foot gap between the end of the walkway and Meadowlark, or Loma Larga.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So along the same lines, I'm sorry, Councilor Knight, did you say?
Councilor Knight, would you finish?
No, I was just going to say, so if anybody if anybody else calls the counselors about that it looks dangerous or that it's not finished, you can tell them that it's, being designed and that will be completed.
Thank you.
So along those same lines about the crosswalk up at the west end are we getting any resolution from Rio Rancho about getting that restriped?
No, I didn't have any luck. I can try and call him again, but he did not call me back.
How about, will they give us permission to do it ourselves if we did it?
I did not ask him for permission to do it ourselves. I could. I just asked him if we could meet out there and go over a couple things, and I didn't get a call back.
Well, it's important that we have those trails connect at least and make sure people know there's a crosswalk there. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Counselor, if we need to, and Steve and I have talked about this before, we can call the manager up there, the deputy manager, for assistance on that to try to expedite it.
Well, I think it's important that, that we get crosswalks where we can, and especially if there was one there and it's worn off and been repaved over, we need to restripe that again.
We'll ask the administration.
Thank you.
So any more questions, comments? We ready for a vote? So how do you vote on the resolution 25-39, Councilor?
We never got a motion to approve the consent agenda and we never voted on, no, sorry, we did, but we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a motion to approve the
So
consent?
moved.
Need to vote on the,
You did. You voted on the motion to remove the bar from the,
Now we're going to vote to
yeah,
approve.
you did a voice vote.
all right.
I think we're going to have a policy on how we do this.
Yeah, it should be going forward. You should do the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Right.
Yeah.
And then pull it.
And
As
then,
listed on, that's how it's listed on the agenda.
no, wait, they haven't voted on, we don't have a motion to approve the bar and we don't have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, so we have the bar that we've been discussing. And perhaps we can vote on that and then vote on the consent agenda.
Okay. Either way, I need a motion to approve something because I
Okay.
don't have any motions on the floor.
Agenda, please.
So moved.
Okay.
Consent agenda.
Counselor Knight, you're moving to approve the consent agenda?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. In a second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify, oh, they can't do that. So Councilor Murray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Knight?
Yes.
Okay, so now the consent agenda has been approved, so we'll go to resolution 25-39, the bar, which we have discussed and has been moved and seconded previously.
Just removing, it's been removed. And so
So now we need a motion to approve that.
Let's now move in second to approve it.
Second.
Okay, how do you vote, Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Burkett?
Aye.
Councilor Murray?
Yes.
Councilor Knight?
Yes.
Councilor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right. New business, consideration action approval of resolution 25-40 in support of seeking funding through a Thornburg Foundation grant to support the farmers cooperative and agriculture in the village of Corrales. I would like to have a motion to approve in a second, and then we'll have Mike Hammond come up and talk about this.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Mike, can you address this briefly and perhaps even talk about, the idea of the traffic, if you can recall
Okay.
when the secretary came down? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. During my tenure as state engineer, we went through a process of developing a recommendation report to the legislative body of the state of New Mexico to move forward with a comprehensive water agenda. And during that time, we were able to secure support of the Thornburg Foundation that was kind of the underpinning of being able to move forward, get the report printed, get it before the legislature, et cetera. And that was back in December 2022. And subsequently worked closely with the Thornburg Foundation on a number of issues. We also, after my departure from the state engineer's office, there was an opportunity that came forward to put in a proposal to the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation for a water study for the village area to give us a full spectrum of the issues, the amount of water resources the village is using, the number of wells there are, the relationship between surface water and groundwater was proposed as a study to the Bureau of Reclamation. They approved the process for us to move forward with a comprehensive grant proposal. And we've been working on that, and I want to thank the village for cooperating, being a subrecipient for that grant once it comes through. I subsequently met with my associates there at the Thornburg Foundation to talk about that grant and to talk about how the Corrales Farmers Cooperative had formed as a 501c3. And I serve on the board of that. I work with Sam Thompson and a number of other folks that serve on that board. And we've been gradually increasing the membership of that group. So it's becoming pretty substantial. And when I relayed that information to my colleague at the Thornburg Foundation, we were invited to put in a proposal to get essentially administrative support funds and capacity development funds for the Corrales Farmers Cooperative. In addition to that, the grant would be used for education and outreach of all the landowners in Corrales with a focus on the farming community to kind of get a better understanding of their future water use needs. So that would be a complementary grant once received that would really grow the original $500,000 grant into an additional an additional 100,000 grant over 2 years that the Thornburg Foundation would provide. So again, I want to thank the village for stepping up on this and offering to be fiscal agent and also to be a full partner with the Corrales Farmers Cooperative. MRGCD is involved with the larger grant. They're the fiscal agent on the $500,000 grant. All of these partnerships that we're working on with the local community here, the village, the Office of the State Engineer, the United States Green Commission, MRGCD, and we're also reaching out to the some of the other entities that would include the land and water conservation districts to also be a partner on this. The important thing is that we're leveraging multiple opportunities here to do a full-scale analysis of how we need to move forward to assure Corrales' water resilience in the future. And so this particular grant that requires you all's approval of this resolution to be included in the application package, the Thornburg would help tremendously for the Corrales Farmers Cooperative to grow its potential, to have administrative support, and to do a pretty large outreach and educational component, which is a fundamental part of the Corrales Farmers Cooperative mission. So with that, I stand for any questions that you all may have.
So anybody have any questions about this subject? Yes, sir. Councilor Murray.
Thank you. So does this $500,000, will it dovetail into also the water rights we're trying to?
Not exactly, very peripherally. In fact,
I mean, with some of the data, would it be?
The data will help. It will help with the 40-year water plan. And that's what, that's, everything is sort of going to contribute, okay? And until we get started doing all this, we won't know, I guess, what we need in some cases, because it's going to be data driven.
Yeah. So also, given that the current federal administration is clawing back money left and right, what are our chances of getting this $500,000 grant?
That's an excellent question, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Murray. We've been assured by the Bureau of Reclamation that the DOGE guy over interior water projects is in favor of moving forward with all of these IRA drought relief funds that the Biden administration, they put $4 billion into a drought relief fund for primarily focused on the Colorado River Basin, but they have back about $1 billion to be used in other parts of the West. And there's a large component going to the lower Rio Grande for the Texas v. New Mexico settlement. And then they set aside roughly about, I don't know, $6 or $8 million to address upper Rio Grande issues. And we were able to capitalize on $500,000 for out of that block of funds. And we've been assured that those will be made available.
And does this data then also go to the state, so they're incorporated into their 30-year plan or water plan as well?
Councilor Murray, the idea of having the State Engineer's Office and the ISC as partners on this particular grant would dovetail into this regional water planning effort that they're trying to get off the ground. We think the Corrales area could serve as an excellent pilot project to actually look at all of the sources of water supply that could be optimized, both for trying to meet compact delivery requirements when the water is available to shoot down to Elephant Butte, to hopefully get the state out of debit status under the compact, as well as optimize surface and groundwater in the Corrales area to make sure our farmers have water options even when surface water is not as available as we'd like it to be. So that's kind of the overall picture of what we're trying to accomplish.
Great. Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. Anyone else? Counselor Knight, Counselor Miera, Counselor Alsorbrook, you have any questions?
Nope, all set.
Okay. All right. So briefly, if you want, talk about the northern part of Corrales Road, what we discussed.
First,
Say again?
you want to vote on this first?
Sure. That's a good idea. I thought while he's up here, he could talk. Okay, so resolution 2540, support of seeking funding through the Thornburg Foundation grant to support the cooperative and agriculture in the village of Corrales. How do you vote, Councilor Murray?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
Councilor Alsorbrook?
Aye.
Councilor Miera?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, it passes. Okay, you're up again.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for approving the grant resolution. I think we'll be bringing that forward rather quickly. Our deadline for applying for the grant is November 4th, so we'll, by you approving this resolution is a part of the package to get the grant complete application completed. And so thank you for that. I would also like to state for the record that we had a very successful meeting with the State Highway Department after some urging and help from Representative Kate's office and others to try to pull together a group of folks that included the Secretary of DOT, also the commissioner of this area, this region, the D1, the D3 region. His senior staff attended that meeting for District 3 as well. And they made significant commitments that they've already been following up with the village on. And I want to thank again you, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Curry for following through and keeping their feet to the fire, so to speak, on their commitments. The other piece that they're going to look at is the safety of the north area, which includes some rights of way improvement. There's two very large elm trees that dominate the inside curves on the S curve on the north end that cars have hit and in some cases caused fatalities and major injuries in the past. Many fence posts and other private property have been damaged by accidents in that area over a number of months. And the Department of Transportation has agreed to do a safety review. And I think it's not only on the north end, I think they're planning on
The whole
doing it
road.
through the entire road.
Yeah.
With an emphasis and priority on the north end, as I understand it. I also want to thank Councilor Burkett and Miera for attending that meeting as well. I think with the mayor there and Ron there and you two councilmen and Representative Cates and Senator Nava was a good show of interest in the safety of the Corrales Road corridor. So I really appreciate everybody's attendance on that. But it's moving forward, and I think we're getting some major action on part of the Department of Transportation that we hadn't seen in the past. So again, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for pushing that forward.
Thank you. So they have some, yes, sir. Councilor Woolman.
Mayor, if I could, one kind of separate question. A while back, you had expressed some interest in possibly joining Corrales, joining the Safety Association, the statewide Safety Association. Is there any update on that?
That's correct. Thank you, Councilman Woolman. I've had some preliminary discussions with my fellow farmers in the area. There's some interest in it. We just haven't been able to coalesce around getting the group together during the farming season and the farmers market season. But I think once that starts to wind down, we've got commitments to get together to try to get that Acequia formed. But I have reached out to the state Acequia Association. I have a good colleague there that I worked with for a number of years. Paula Garcia, who's the head of the New Mexico Acequia Association, said she would help us do whatever we can to get that all set up. But it won't function as a traditional acequia because it's under the umbrella of MRGCD, but it would qualify us for state grants that would actually have to go to MRGCD to be put on the ground. But it also would elevate the issue for us at the state level if we can get that.
I know you've had a few other things on your plate, but I just wanted to see if you had an update. So thank you very much.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Yeah, plus he's dodging cars as he's driving out his driveway. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, yeah, I think we've been successful in getting them back to the table, DOT. And we do have a set schedule now and perhaps something will happen, but you never know. Okay. So future agenda items will include a presentation from Bill Badal, Executive Director of Greater Albuquerque Habitat for Humanity on October 14th, and that's thanks to Councilor Alsobrook. We'll have approval of ordinance 25-04, authorizing the village to enter into a loan agreement with NMED for water rights purchase on October 14th that we discussed, I think, last time or 2 times ago, something like that. Also, there will be a possibility of a closed session that day to discuss the team of water experts that we've put together and give you guys an update on what's happening.
What time would that be?
That one is at 6, the Thursday meeting on the 20. Oh, the regular meeting? It'll be regular time, 6:30.
Oh, it's within the meeting? No. Okay, okay.
No, the executive session will be part of the meeting. The meeting regarding the team will be part of that the executive session. That's what your question was. Okay, sorry, I misunderstood.
So that
Yes, sir.
executive session will be before the resolution comes up to vote?
You mean the ordinance for the water rights
Yes.
purchase?
Well, the loan agreement, yeah, ordinance 2504. So that the executive session will be before.
We can do that.
I
Yeah,
think that would be a great idea.
okay, that can be done. All right. And then the third thing that isn't on here, at least it's not on my copy, is a meeting on Thursday
Right.
with the Pueblo and MRGCD. And that'll be a special meeting at 6:00. Okay. Any further business? We have,
Just think about your chair, which will be
okay.
with the rate.
I'm going to adjourn the meeting since we've finished the business session.
Moving now. That's right.